Hey folks, and welcome to this week's review of Lucha Underground for March 18th. This was a hell of a show. I know I keep saying that over and over again, but damn, this was a good show. This match started off with Areostar versus Drago. This is the third match in their first of three, or better known as the best of five series. This was a really interesting match with these two guys. It didn't start off with their normal sort of high-flying style that you've come to get used to. This started off more of a slower-paced sort of mat wrestling, some submission to start off with. Drago got the upper hand for a bit there, then things sort of picked up more speed-wise. It became sort of what we expected of these guys, more of the high-flying, the dives out of the ring. Great match with these guys. In the end, Areostar picks up the win, and he's up 2-1 this best of five series. Really cool match. I really enjoyed this one. I think I enjoyed their previous two a bit better. It wasn't a bad match, but it hasn't been my favorite one of theirs so far. But you need to do something to differentiate these matches at this point, because we're gonna have hopefully 5 of these at this point. So at that point, they can't all be the same. So I'm looking forward to see what else these guys do. Well, that was really good to see, though. Up next, we have Big Ryck versus the Crew in an elimination match. I thought this was a really this is a cool match, and I keep forgetting how much of a monster Ryck is until you get him in the ring and get to watch him basically go to town. Starts off with a lot of the Crew sort of getting the upper hand, the whole 3-on-1. But Ryck manages to sort of fight his way back and overpower him. He hits this sort of massive spine buster and eliminates the first guy, which was Bale. After that, he basically winds up working over Cortez Castro for a bit. He eliminates him as well. And at that point, Mr. Cisco's like, you know what? Peace out. I'm done. I've seen what's been going on there. I'm not going to deal with it. He starts heading up the stairs. We get the spotlight. The crowd goes wild. We have Sexy Star, who basically drives him back down the stairs to the ring, where Big Ryck is waiting. At that point, Ryck basically destroys the guy at this point. Beats him bloody, and he hits, I don't know what he calls the move in Lucha Underground at this point. I think it was the Book of Ezekiel when he was in WWE, because of that huge Uranagi. And he basically he does it on a chair. So he's got the chair set up. It's basically the seat's out. He slams down the chair and bends the seat of the chair to the angle of the legs, almost like a 45-degree angle there. Pretty sick spot. Cisco's going to be feeling that one tomorrow. But man, that was brutal. After that, we have what I think... Once again, I keep saying the last Conan vignette was my favorite vignette they've done. Once again, same thing. Like, this was beautifully done. It's a lot of... You see some of the work of Conan last week with the new sort of badass Kane, basically attacking people, defending himself, drawing lines in the water. Very badass. But it's intercut with these shots of these two guys playing chess. It's talking about strategy and positioning. It's all about like the sacrifices you make to protect your key players. It's just this great analogy going on, interposed with like the violence that you see that's happened to Conan and that Conan basically will cause in the future with like what he does with the cane. And at the end, you see basically Conan hits the button on the 2 clocks, so it's like a chess timer. And he looks up across the board, and Puma is his opponent he's been playing chess against. And I thought that was like a great little reveal at the end, and it gets... everything gets fit together perfectly. I love these movie-style vignettes. I really think this is one thing that sets Lucha Underground apart from other guys. After that, we get your main event. This, believe it or not, we get the intros to the main event at the 33-minute mark on the hour, so... We get almost a half an hour, we get this entire second half of the show for Grave Consequences, which is Fenix versus Muertes in a casket match. It's a little bit weird that Striker and Vampiro kept calling it a coffin when it's a casket match, but it's all semantics in the end. This match was brutal. Where to even start? Muertes was on the attack for almost this entire match. Fenix took a beating like you wouldn't believe. Very early on in the match, he basically grabs Fenix and basically rips his mask open. So like the eyes and basically you could. All he had was a little like strap here across his like nose, and everything else basically opens up at that point. He goes back to the ring, and he actually we've seen on Impact Wrestling the BDC go under the ring and pull out that turnbuckle bolt. Mill one-ups that. He actually goes over to the ring and just reaches in and loosens it up and pulls it off of the ring, pulling the bottom rope off and basically just laying into Fenix with that. I thought that was a really strange thing and a really cool thing to do, but it set something else up. Shortly after that, Mill actually brings the casket into the ring. And basically having that bottom rope off, there's now enough space to get in there. And I thought that was a great transition series of events to basically be able to bring that into the ring. There's some absolutely brutal moves with the casket. Fenix at one point goes for an outside dive, and Mill, instead of basically trying to get out of the way, he basically reaches down and just stands the casket up, and basically Fenix slams into it in mid-flight. He also goes for a charge attack on Mill at another point, and Mill just grabs him and just hoists him head over tea kettle into a suplex onto it. Absolutely brutal. Fenix is bleeding all over the place. They brawl through the crowd on multiple occasions. It's just sheer brutality. But Fenix keeps getting up. They wind up on top of Drago's office at one point, and Mill basically clears the crowd underneath, goes to suplex him off. Fenix blocks it, and then Mill basically grabs him and just slams him to the air ducts that are sitting above the office. Great use of the environment. You'd never see that in their company. No other company has air ducts or a manager's office to sit on top of. They just use the entire space so well for this match. At the end, they get both guys back in the ring. Catrina slides the casket over next to the ring. She opens it up. As Fenix is inside the ring, Mill's on the outside. He basically doubles over Mil Muertes, and then Fenix comes off the top rope with a double foot stomp to the back that drives Mil into the casket. And at that point, Catrina looks to go close it, but she stops. As she reaches down, she picks up that rock, that piece of rubble that Mill draws all his power from, gives that the lick of death, tosses that in the casket, and then she slams the lid. And that's where things get a little bit strange at that point. The really cool, processional that brought out the casket to begin with comes back out. They wheel the casket out. Catrina leaves with them. And, that's the sort of focal point as the show ends, is Mill being carted out with Catrina looking over his casket. And Fenix is left in the ring at that point. It's a little bit odd that Fenix's win didn't get, the spotlight. It was the defeat of Mill. And I'm almost thinking that's sort of what Catrina's role was. It wasn't that she went to Fenix to help him. It was she went to Fenix to get rid of Mil Muertes. I don't know. We'll have to see where it leads. But I thought that was a really interesting choice there. And even the camera work sort of supports that. So that was really cool. So we actually have 2 matches announced for next week. We have El Patron versus Tejano for the AAA title, which should be really interesting to see. Hell, this sort of cements in the whole, Lucha Underground, AAA. Yes, I know they're the same parent company and all that, but this basically talks about them being different, and, we're sharing resources, and hey, we're going to allow this title to be defended on your show. That's going to be awesome. And it's a bull rope match, which would be cool to see, which makes a lot of sense after, heck, El Patron used it as a whip, got himself DQ'd last time, so this is going to be an intense match. And if that's not enough, we've also got Cage the Machine comes back, and he's going to get his number one contenders match that number one contender spot that he earned. He's actually challenged Prince Puma for the title. So that'll be awesome to see. I'm thinking we'll see El Patron retain the AAA title. I don't see the AAA title actually changing hands on Lucha Underground. I could be totally wrong on that. And then Prince Puma versus Cage. As much as I would like Puma as a champ, I think Cage has just got that. He's a monster, and everyone's going to want to beat him, and I believe he's going to be an insane opponent for everyone else. But if I had to read tea leaves, I'd think we're going to see Ryck and Cage in the very near future. Sort of like the immovable force meets the unmovable object. Or irresistible force meets the immovable object. I best got my wrestling cliche. It's been a long day. Well, that's it for this week's review. I hope you enjoyed this. Please, if you did, click right here on the Lucha Underground logo, and you can subscribe to the channel. Please like this video. Have any questions, please leave it in the comments below, and I'll answer them. And I hope you guys all have a good week, and we'll see you next week.